In 2007, we founded a nonprofit organization known as the Montgomery County Law Enforcement Memorial Association. Our mission is to take care of our own by helping the families and co-workers of this county's officers tragically killed or seriously injured in the line of duty. Every first Friday in May, we have the great privilege of hosting an annual memorial ceremony in honor of the fallen, whose ultimate sacrifice helped keep their communities safe. This event is just one part of our overarching goal to make sure these heroes are never forgotten. Before the ceremony, event participants take part in a mass procession, which in recent years begins at Temple, Israel, travels over the Riverside Bridge, and arrives at the Riverskate Pavilion. The procession features everything from motorcycle units, honor guards, and a combined agency color guard to a mass pipe and drum corps, family survivors, and uniformed and retired officers. And it's just one of the ways throughout this event that we observe the sacred and historic traditions of military and law enforcement funerals. Once the procession arrives, the official ceremony begins. That's when we honor and pay homage to this county's fallen heroes and their family and co-worker survivors through a number of traditional observances. The first is the presentation of the colors. After that comes the national anthem, the invocation, the Ohio Attorney General's proclamation, the Master of Ceremonies remarks, and the keynote address.
We gather to honor the fallen.
Next, we award several $1,000 college scholarships, the first priority given to the children of the fallen, and secondly, the children of current officers. Since 2007, we've given out 35 scholarships worth a total of $35,000. For 2020, our scholarship recipients are Aubrey Brown, a Springboro High School senior whose parents are Centerville Police Chief Matthew Brown and Kelly Brown. Aubrey will be attending Ohio Northern University and majoring in pharmacology. Nathan Eschler, a Waynesville High School senior whose parents are Centerville Officer Brad Eschler and Gina Speaks Eschler. Nathan will be attending Eastern Kentucky University and majoring in forensic biology pre-medicine. Paul Kramer, a Kettering Fairmont High School senior whose parents are Kettering Officer Jason Kramer and Nancy Kramer. Paul will be attending the UD Sinclair Academy majoring in business. And Brittany Sargent, a Carroll High School senior whose parents are Five Rivers Metro Parks Officer Adrian Sargent and Catherine Sargent. Brittany will be attending Ohio University, majoring in biology. Next is the survivor speech, when a family or co-worker survivor tells the story and shares their personal experiences and memories of an officer who has fallen in the line of duty. After that, we observe another sacred military and law enforcement tradition with the fallen officer roll call. That's when the names of the fallen heroes, their respective law enforcement agencies, and end-of-watch dates are read aloud. During this centerpiece portion of our ceremony, their respective family and co-worker survivors come forward to place carnations into a symbolic wreath dedicated to their collective memories. For many years, we've been recognizing 38 officers from Montgomery County's law enforcement agencies for their ultimate sacrifice. Unfortunately, we now need to add 2 more fallen officers to our list, one from nearly a century ago and one from 2019. Due to a recent official records clarification, we can now proudly add Patrol Officer Claude McCormick of the Oakwood Public Safety Department, whose end of watch was August 29, 1933. Claude was born on August 15, 1895 in Atlanta, Missouri. At age 22, he enlisted in the Army and fought in World War I from 1917 to 1919. After his discharge in 1920, he and wife Anna settled in Dayton. Claude joined the Oakwood Public Safety Department in 1929, where he served with distinction as a motorcycle patrolman. On August 29, 1933, while on patrol, Officer McCormick was involved in an accident. He received first aid treatment at the scene and at the time felt well enough to return home to rest. But later, Claude fell unconscious and was taken to Miami Valley Hospital, where just before midnight on that same day, he passed away. The second fallen officer deserving of our special recognition is beloved Detective George R. Del Rio of the Dayton Police Department, whose tragic end of watch was November 7, 2019. George Del Rio was born on February 25, 1964 in Mexico City. A few years later, his family moved to East Chicago, Indiana. After learning to speak English and graduating high school, he earned a bachelor's degree from Indiana University in 1986, the same year that he met his wife, Kathy. George graduated from the Dayton Police Academy in 1989 and was assigned as an officer with the Dayton Police 3rd District. 6 years later, he transferred to the Narcotics Bureau, where he worked his way up to detective, later also becoming an agent with the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration. On the evening of November 4th, 2019, Detective Del Rio was serving a search warrant along with his fellow DEA agents and Dayton police detectives during a drug raid at a residential property. While descending a flight of stairs into the basement, George was suddenly confronted by a man wielding a handgun who then fired 2 shots that struck him in the face. A few days later, he was taken off life support. At his funeral, Dayton Police Chief Richard Beals said, quote, "George served with honor and valor for 3 decades. He served his family, his community, and his nation. In his final act as a Dayton police detective and DEA agent, he moved unhesitatingly towards danger, acted with great courage, heart, commitment, and dedication as he had throughout his career, and made the greatest sacrifice possible within the nobility of the law enforcement profession. George's selfless action and his ultimate sacrifice is reminiscent of what Abraham Lincoln called the last full measure of devotion. I offer the following wish for blessings to Detective George Del Rio, his family, friends, and for the men and women who shared with him the indestructible fabric of the thin blue line. May you be safe and free from harm. May you be at peace. May you at all times be held in love and met with compassion." Every year, we have the great honor of individually recognizing each of this county's fallen heroes in chronological order going back to the late 1800s. From the Dayton Police Department, Patrolman Lee Lynham, end of watch January 17, 1880. From the Dayton Police Department, Sergeant Amer M. Keller, end of watch January 7, 1897. From the Dayton Police Department, Patrolman William M. Dalton, end of watch August 10, 1899. From the Dayton Police Department, Patrolman John J. Stapleton, end of watch January 17, 1916. From the Dayton Police Department, Patrolman Charles V. Thomas, end of watch May 21, 1916. From the Dayton Police Department, Detective George B. Purcell, end of watch September 23, 1916. From the Miamisburg Police Department, Patrolman Frank P. Widener, end of watch November 16, 1922. From the Dayton Police Department, Patrolman George E. Clark, end of watch January 29, 1923. From the B&O Railroad Police Department, Detective Alfred Knight, end of watch September 15, 1927. From the Dayton Police Department, Patrolman William C. Horn, end of watch September 18, 1927. From the Dayton Police Department, Captain John C. Post, end of watch September 24, 1927. From the Dayton Police Department, Patrolman Walter E. Roush, end of watch December 25, 1927. From the Dayton Police Department, Patrolman William T. Wilson, end of watch February 23, 1928. From the Dayton Police Department, Detective Sergeant Lucius J. Rice, end of watch October 5, 1939. From the Dayton Police Department, Patrolman Sherman E. Nolan, end of watch May 3, 1947. From the Dayton Police Department, Patrolman Herman A. Drexler, end of watch May 16, 1947. From the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Bobby J. Thatcher, end of watch April 20th, 1952. From the Ohio State Highway Patrol Post 57, Trooper Ernest E. Cole, end of watch October 3rd, 1964. From the Dayton Police Department, Patrolman Richard O. Baker, end of watch November 5th, 1965. From the Dayton Police Department, Patrolman Ronald K. Wells, end of watch April 6th, 1967. From the Vandalia Police Department, Lieutenant James E. Bohannon, end of watch December 30th, 1969. From the Dayton Police Department, Patrolman James E. Mobley, end of watch January 25th, 1970. From the Dayton Police Department, Sergeant Paul E. Mortimer, end of watch July 31st, 1970. From the Kettering Police Department, Patrolman Paul J. Metzger, end of watch April 3rd, 1972. From the Dayton Police Department, Patrolman Daniel H. Burns, end of watch July 1st, 1973. From the Dayton Police Department, Sergeant William K. Mortimer, end of watch March 4th, 1974. From the Wayne Township Police Department, Officer Leo Casto Jr., end of watch August 23, 1974. From the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Randall K. Richter, end of watch May 22, 1975. From the Germantown Police Department, Sergeant Robert G. Woods, end of watch July 16, 1976. From the Butler Township Police Department, Patrolman John E. Schmidt, end of watch October 12, 1976. From the Jefferson Township Police Department, Patrolman William A. Aldridge, end of watch July 13, 1977. From the Dayton Police Department, Officer Eddie L. Hobson, end of watch October 11, 1981. From the West Carrollton Police Department, Patrolman Frederick J. Beard, end of watch February 16, 1983. From the Riverside Police Department, Patrolman Larry J. Safried, end of watch October 2, 1984. From the Dayton Police Department, Officer William S. Whalen, end of watch March 22, 1991. From the Dayton Police Department, Officer Jason K. Grossnickel, end of watch May 23, 1996. From the Centerville Police Department, Officer John P. Kalaman, end of watch January 12, 1998. And from the Dayton Police Department, Officer Mary L. Bell, end of watch August 25, 2002. The remainder of the ceremony features a number of very sacred and highly symbolic military and law enforcement traditions. The riderless horse carries its missing rider's boots placed in the stirrups pointing backwards. Originally used by the U.S. military, this emotional moment symbolizes a warrior who will ride no more and is featured in military processions to symbolize fallen soldiers. The 21-gun salute originated from a British naval tradition wherein a warship would fire its cannons harmlessly out to sea to symbolize that it was officially disarmed and standing down, a practice that later evolved into an honor to the fallen.
Ready! Hey! Ready! Hey! Ready! Hey!
Taps is an American composition that replaced a traditional French bugle call, which was used to signal lights out and call the troops back to camp. Taps was first played in 1862 during the Civil War to honor a Union soldier who had fallen in battle. The American flag folding is based on the U.S. military ceremony of retreat, wherein the flag is lowered, folded into a triangle, and kept under watch throughout the night as a tribute to the fallen. The next morning, Old Glory is raised again to symbolize their resurrection. In our final observance of the sacred traditions of military and law enforcement funerals, the folded ceremonial flag is then presented to a family survivor or the survivor speaker. Immediately following the ceremony, we host a complimentary luncheon for the family and co-workers, survivors in attendance, which in recent years has been held at the Antioch Shriners Hall. This annual memorial ceremony is just one of the ways we fulfill our mission to take care of our own by helping the families and co-workers of this county's officers tragically killed or seriously injured in the line of duty. We also regularly provide these survivors more individualized forms of support. And our long-term goal is to build a permanent outdoor memorial in honor of those whose ultimate sacrifice helped keep their communities safe. Our plan calls for this memorial to be a unique, awe-inspiring work of art that will ensure these fallen heroes are never forgotten, and an immortal tribute to the living who risk their lives for the people of Montgomery County every day.